Welcome back to the Soulful Cook. Today we're going to be making a delicious millet fried rice, which is packed with nutrients and has a lot of health benefits, including anti-inflammatory properties. Now, why is eating anti-inflammatory foods good for you? It's really important because it helps you fight against diseases such as diabetes, even autoimmune diseases like my husband has, which is ulcerative colitis, as well as PCOS, which is something I struggle with. This is exactly why we try to incorporate as many anti-inflammatory ingredients as much as we can in our everyday food. Like today, for example, almost everything we're using, from the spices to the vegetables to the main star ingredient, everything has its own health benefit, and almost all of them help fight inflammation. First things first, we're gonna get our millet ready. So now what's millet? Millet is a whole grain that's gluten-free and it has a really nice nutty flavor. Millet also boasts a lower glycemic index, which helps stabilize and lower blood sugar levels. Now millet is really rich in fiber, which aids in digestion and promotes this feeling of fullness, which is also really beneficial for weight loss. All right. So cooking millet is really easy. I'm gonna use the Instant Pot method, but there are stovetop methods out there which I will add into my recipe if you prefer that. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take 1 cup of dry millet. Perfect, and I'm just gonna dump that in there. Now I'm gonna take 1 3/4 cup of water. So just remember, for every 1 cup of dry millet, it's 1 3/4 cup of water. And that's usually the measurement I like to go with. And 3. Now, if you're using millet for any other dish, like a rice substitute for like beans or chickpeas or curries, I would tell you to put a little pinch of salt in here. But because we're using tamari in our dish, it already has a lot of sodium. So we don't want to over salt our recipe. So I'm just going to leave that as is. We're going to close our Instant Pot. We're going to press pressure cook on custom, on high, and then I'm just going to adjust the timing. And we want to cook this for 10 minutes. Let's prep our veggies. First thing we're going to do is we're going to chop up some ginger and garlic. Now, ginger and garlic are great ingredients that help fight inflammation. They add a lot of flavor, and they're really good to boost your immune system as well. And then we're just going to roughly chop that. And then we're going to do the same thing with our garlic. So now we're going to move that to the side, and then we're going to grab our onion. So I'm just going to peel the onion first. Give it a rough slice. Perfect. So let's talk mushrooms. You can use any mushroom you want, but ideally in this kind of recipe, shiitake is best. It's got that texture, it's dense, and it adds a really nice umami flavor. And that's what we're looking for, because you want to use ingredients that will add flavor to your dish. So I'm just going to roughly slice these up. We're just going to transfer all of this into a bowl. All right, so we've got this ready. So now we're going to start on our veggies. You can use any veggies you want. All right, I'm just gonna give this a rough chop. But if you don't like broccoli, for whatever reason, you can also use bok choy, which is just as good. Now I'm only adding maybe like 1.5 cups worth of broccoli, but feel free to add more to your liking. Now we're gonna take some asparagus. Now asparagus is one of those veggies that I get really lazy about. You know, some people like to take the bottoms off one at a time. I'm just gonna take a bunch and then just snap it in half. And that's it. Super easy. Why take extra time if you don't need to? Again, rough chop. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just like that. Now we're gonna grab our carrots. We're just going to give these lengthwise cuts. All right, last but not least, we're gonna get some green beans. So now our vegetables are ready. I'm gonna throw this all in a bowl. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of oil. I'm using avocado oil. If you wanna keep this oil free, then you just omit the oil. I'm adding oil only because it adds a nice crunch to our veggies, which is kind of what I'm looking for. Next, we're gonna add in our onions, garlic, ginger, and our mushrooms. I'm just going to stir that to make sure nothing sticks to the bottom. That's really important. If you're not using oil, but you kind of still want that, nice charred flavor, then just take a little bit of water at a time and add that in, and it'll be perfectly fine. So about 2 to 3 minutes in, I'm actually gonna take my favorite ingredient in the whole world, tofu. You can cut this up and slice it if you want to. I'm just gonna literally just grab it, throw it in there, because you want that unevenness. You want that egg-like texture and feel. And that way, a little bit of tofu comes in every bite. And we're just gonna cook this until the tofu is nice and cooked through, and your mushrooms are cooked through as well. Now we're gonna take the rest of our veggies that we chopped up earlier and just gonna dump that in. You wanna give that a rough stir, just like that. Just to make sure everything is nice and mixed well together. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some hot water and I'm just gonna put a little bit in there, and we're just gonna steam our vegetables until they're nice and cooked. Don't put too much water, just about 1/4 of a cup. And then we're just gonna cover that and let it cook for about 4 to 5 minutes. All right, our veggies have been steaming and cooking for a little bit, so we're just gonna check on them. You wanna make sure they're not too soft. If you feel like it's sticking to the bottom, you can just add a little bit more water. But I like a little bit of browning, so I'm gonna leave it as is. Now we're gonna grab our millet. What I did is, before I took it out of the Instant Pot, I just took a fork and I just fluffed it up a little bit so it kind of breaks it up. If you see clumps like this, then that's totally normal. That's just how millet is. You just have to break it apart and it'll be perfect. So I'm just gonna grab my millet and dump that all in there. Now I'm gonna grab some tamari. We're gonna add about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. I'm gonna add a splash of rice vinegar just for some acidity. Very little, that's all you need. And then I'm gonna use some vegetarian, which is also vegan, oyster sauce, which is really just mushroom sauce. You just need a couple tablespoons of this. It's got a strong flavor, so you don't wanna go too crazy. Now for spice, I'm going to use some crushed red peppers. You can use a serrano pepper as well. I'm just gonna throw in some chili flakes. Now we're gonna mix that up. And you wanna make sure you use the flat end of your spoon and kind of break up any clumps of millet that you see. We don't want clumpy fried rice. You wanna make sure all the millet is covered in your oyster sauce and your soy sauce. Look how beautiful that color is. Look at that. So now I'm just gonna add a little bit more chili. This is just chili garlic sauce. It adds a little bit of heat, but it also adds a really nice garlicky chili flavor. Totally optional. If you wanna keep this oil free, then just leave this part out. And then the last step is you're gonna turn the heat off, and then you're gonna take your green onions, and we're just going to throw those in there and give one final mix before we can eat. All right, let's plate this up so we can eat. All right, we've got this plated up. We're ready to dive in. All right, let's try this. The vegetables still have a nice crunch to them. They're not like mush or anything. That heat really comes through and it packs on so much flavor. And the garlic, it's just so flavorful, but it's so good. That umami flavor from the mushrooms and the oyster sauce It just adds so much more depth to this recipe. So good. I'm taking another bite. If you like recipes like this one, please subscribe to my channel and watch our other videos. I have plenty of Asian inspired videos as well. I'll link it up below and down in my description box as well. If you're looking for any of the ingredients I used today, I actually have them all on my Amazon storefront, which I'll also link in the description box below. You can find the gluten-free oyster sauce, other gluten-free sauces as well. Everything will be linked for you. The recipe is also linked down below, and you can find it on my website at thesoulfulcook.com. And this recipe just goes to show you that you don't need to sacrifice on taste and food if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to fight inflammation, or you're trying to eat better overall. You can still enjoy your food, you can still have your food taste good, but still help fight that inflammation and boost your immune system, and eat foods that are good for weight loss. Eating this and avoiding rice has significantly helped my weight loss journey personally. If you have any questions or any comments, or if there's something in particular you would like me to show you or make for you, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.